Hey guys, it's Tats from Castagra, and today I want to talk a bit about something I posted on Twitter, which said the simpler the marketing plan, the better chance it'll actually work. Now, I've done a lot of different marketing plans over the years, and that's almost always been the case. When you have a plan that has lots of moving pieces and tries to accomplish many different things, a lot of times it absolutely doesn't go anywhere. Like when it's in document form and you're staring at it, it looks really impressive. It looks like it's going to take over the world. But when you actually try to implement it, it usually doesn't have a hope or prayer it's going to work. So what I found is you need to keep it as simple as possible. And what do I mean by that? Well, I mean start with the objective and what you're trying to accomplish. If you can make your objective or your goal so simple that you can explain it in 6 words or less, that's a good starting point. Now, from there, what you have to do is you have to do a series of inexpensive tests using different marketing methodology and try to figure out what's going to work, what's not going to work. And then let's say you do 3 or 4 different trials, all based on things that seem reasonable. I mean, you can take outright guesses, but when you get good at what you do, what you're going to find is the first couple of attempts are going to look a lot better than when you first started out. So you'll look really closely at those trials and try to figure out if there's a pattern of success that you can grow upon. So once you've sort of figured out, this methodology is producing the results against that objective that you identified earlier, then you start to hone in on that and you start sort of adding to that, doubling down on that. And that gives you that first pillar in which you can start to build some activity. Now, what you want to do is, you don't want to rely on one thing, because what you know with marketing is that when you rely on one thing, well, anything in marketing usually stops working after a while. So you don't want to just have one thing going. So what you do once you have that one thing going is you now create your next 3 trials, for instance, and try to layer that activity on the existing activity and try to isolate another method that would reach a similar audience and also produce a decent enough result. So you keep doing that, and then you'll find out of the portfolio of activities that you're doing, out of this next batch of 3, you're going to find one works really well. So you take that activity, you hone in on it, and then once you refined it, you stack it right next to the other activity that keeps going, and you start to create this portfolio of activity that starts to target the prospect from many different areas. And I find that was really, really effective. I spend a lot of time developing new products, and it's always a discovery process. If you're taking over an existing product line and you have some history that you can go to, then it's not the same. But when you're starting a new product, you're always trying to discover what approach is going to work. And there's so many unknowns. So what you have to do is use some sort of trial methodology that's going to allow you to layer multiple layers on top of each other, and you'll find that very, very useful. Now, this is something that I've identified as the process. Now, in marketing, processes are important. When you read publications or articles, a lot of times they talk about tips. You should use Facebook, you should do this, you should do that. It's all based on a tactical level advice that is usually very sort of specific to a certain situation. So it might not work in your situation. So I usually try to ignore the advice and sort of move through it and just